hair loss. It is very confusing. A lot of people don't know how to go about it. Whenever you're experiencing it, it's something that deters your confidence overall. I know it can be pretty confusing. On one side, you got people telling you do a hair transplant. Some people telling you to just do a hair tattoo. Some people just telling you to accept it and shave it off. We can go on and on and on. Other people think you should just do minoxidil, some dutasteride, some finasteride. So there is literally rabbit holes upon rabbit holes on how to solve this one problem that almost seems impossible to solve. And maybe you've already tried certain things. Maybe you actually have done everything and you're at a point where you rather just get it tattooed or get a hair transplant. And if you're in that spot, I actually made another video previous to this one where I talk about specifically what's the difference between those two. But some of you guys haven't even tried anything at all and you're just bombarded with other information and you're stuck with analysis paralysis and you just don't know what to do, because obviously nobody just wants to light money on fire and just let it burn away. So I'm making this video to hopefully give you guys the ultimate hair loss guide, and you have a, I guess, just a better grip on all the information out there, and you know what does what and which one you fit into the most, because it's all gonna make sense in just a little bit. Before we actually start looking at how to actually solve this problem, I think it's worth taking a psychological look at why we even want to get this problem solved. Because a lot of people, especially the people who tell you to just shave it off, some of them, they're actually happy being bald. So I've met people who are actually very confident and they're bald and they really don't care about what people think about them. They live normal lives, they make a lot of money, and then it doesn't affect them at all, right? But for some people, it does affect. And the best analogy that I like to give to all of my clients and just people in general to really understand how hair loss affects somebody, it's just one of those, it all comes down to person to person. And this is just my opinion, but if it's something that you personally don't identify with, that's where it can be an issue. Because to give you guys a very simplistic answer, it's like getting a haircut. We've all seen the people who go get a haircut and they're always in the barbershop every single day, or damn near every single day. It looks like they're in the barbershop. And I used to be a barber and I've had clients that would come in, get a haircut twice a week if they could, sometimes even 3 times a week. To be honest, I was one of those when I first started cutting hair. That's kind of one of the reasons why I became a barber about 16 years ago. And that's kind of why sometimes people, they just want to look nice, that feeling of looking clean all the time. And at the same time, there's people who sometimes will literally go 6 months to a year without a haircut. Some people will go 6 months to a year without shaving, taking care of themselves. In that aspect, they really just don't care. It doesn't affect them. Maybe it doesn't affect their career. Maybe it doesn't, maybe for them, they personally just don't care. And it's not that it's something bad or right. It's just something that overall, looking at it from a bird's eye view, I just feel like it's just something that you like. So some people, same thing with the whole hair loss thing. Some people, they really don't care about looking bald or anything like that. Some people, they do, just like the whole haircut thing. And I'm with you guys. Actually, my hair is slowly thinning out and I got a procedure done called scalp micropigmentation to make my hair look fuller. So when my hair went from looking very thin to a little bit thicker, I felt that confidence boost for sure. But that's because I care about that stuff. Especially with my profession, everything I do, I feel like it's very important. And realistically, I feel like for every single business owner, if it affects you, I feel like it's super important because you are the business. And the thing is, like, if you feel good, I know it's gonna sound cliche, but if you feel good, you're gonna do good. If you do good, you're gonna ultimately have a better life. Either make more money, build better relationships, just feel more confident with your clients, and in general, just do better. So I feel like that really boils it down to why it's important, and realistically, why it's not important for some people. For the people who it's not important, you can click this video, click off this video and go do your regular stuff. I don't even know why you're here to begin with if it doesn't bother you, right? But for those of you who are watching and you guys, it does bother you and you do care about it and you want to know how you can fix it, well, actually, then right now is the time to sit down and watch, right? So, and realistically and truthfully, I don't feel like this is about vanity, because some people will make the argument that, oh, it's not everything's about vanity and this and that. But it's like I said, going back to the haircut, going back to looking nice. You're not gonna go out there looking like a bum if it's something that you care about. If you care about dressing nice, if you care about I'm not talking about being expensive either. I'm talking about looking nice. There's a reason why people wear suits. There's a reason why people wear nice shoes, jewelry, accessories, because they want to be perceived a certain way. So I just wanted to make that clear, and I just wanted to very clarify where I'm coming from, a person who actually does this on a day-to-day basis. I help people transform their inner state by regaining their confidence through a procedure called scalp micropigmentation, which is essentially a hair tattoo. So that's what I do. The cat's out of the bag. But I'm gonna be as non-biased as I can be throughout this video, just giving you guys the facts of everything. And towards the end, I'll actually show you why I do what I do. But before I even get into that stuff, I want to give you guys all the things that you can do to potentially get your real hair back and possibly not have to do a tattoo. All right, so there's no specific order on where we're gonna go here. I'm just gonna go at it, and I guess maybe YouTube will label it and section it down below, actually in a time thingy. But so we're gonna start with minoxidil. So minoxidil, 5%, and finasteride and derma rollers. Those three are what's really popular right now. And I'm gonna break down each one. Minoxidil, originally it started off as an anti-blood pressure medication, so it was used for that. So it eventually started getting marketed as a hair loss solution because it started noticing their patients were actually seeing hair growth everywhere. So the only thing about it is that the downside of it is that when they noticed that the patients, when they stopped using it, the hair would fall off, which was good in their case because they were growing hairs in their hands and places where hair shouldn't be growing. So it was a good thing for them. But as somebody who's trying to regain their hair permanently, it's something that isn't the best thing ever, right? You don't want to be putting on minoxidil every single day, having to do that, and then just to stop, and then it all eventually falls off. So I would say that's pretty much like the origin of minoxidil. And then we got finasteride. With finasteride, that is something more like a preventative. So if you have genetically, you have hair loss in your family and stuff like that, with finasteride, it can definitely help you out. It can help you in a way of slowing it down. So that's why a lot of people usually recommend using minoxidil and finasteride combined. And when it comes to the derma rollers on their own, they don't do anything. The reason for that is because a derma roller, essentially what it is, it's a little roller, right? With a bunch of tiny little needles on it, and it's meant to roll it across your area where you want the hair to grow out. And what it'll do is it'll open the pore up so it gets more oxygen, gets more nutrients, and it works perfectly when you use them all together, because minoxidil will regrow the hair. The finasteride will prevent any more hair loss in the future, so it maintains the hair, and then the derma roller will just help just the whole process speed up a little bit better and just be more, I would say, just more effective, right? So that's why a lot of people recommend them together. Now, the thing is, when it comes to these solutions, the downfall is, I'm pretty sure you can tell already, but if you stop taking the minoxidil, the hair will fall off. If you use the minoxidil on its own, it's really not effective. And the thing is, on top of that, let's say you use the finasteride on its own, it's not going to regrow it. If you stop using the finasteride, same thing again, you stop seeing the results. The derma roller, like I said, if you use it alone, doesn't do anything. So it's one of those solutions where it might work, and if you do everything together, you need to give it at least, I'll say, 2 to 6 months before you really see any results. And if you do see results, then that's a good sign. The reason why I'm saying that is because if you keep using it, you might get your hair back. I've seen some crazy results. I'm talking about, honestly, you're gonna see so many numbers out there, but I'm telling you from thousands of people that I've spoken to, literally I've seen maybe like 2 or 3 people. So that might be enough proof for you to try it out. Like I said, I always tell people, try it out. But always talk to your doctor before you try it out, because there is actual medical risks that come with it. So what I mean by that is that, remember when I talked about with minoxidil, it was originally made to be a high blood pressure medication. So it might not be good for certain people in a certain health condition. So make sure that you talk to your doctor before you start taking minoxidil for that reason alone. And then finasteride as well comes with its own risks. And the derma roller, really, that's just, like I said, it's just a tool to help the whole process go better. So as long as you don't go too hard with it, you don't want to risk any kind of infection or anything like that. But minoxidil and finasteride, those are the ones that you really want to watch out for and speak to a professional about. Another thing that comes with those medications is that you can have like heart palpitations. So that's what I'm saying. It's important to speak to somebody professional before you start doing these things. All right, so now we're moving on to stuff that starts to become a little bit more woo-woo, but it's not. There is some evidence behind that it actually works, which is red light therapy, PRP, and just stuff like that. There is some evidence, like I said, that it does work, but overall, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I don't know too much about those specifics, the science behind it all, but all I know is that in terms of results, I've had hundreds of and thousands literally of clients that have all told me that they've tried that before and little to no results. I've never seen nothing dramatic or crazy like the minoxidil or finasteride when it does work. So I don't know too much about those, but I just know that it's really not effective. What I do know for sure though is a lot of my patients, whenever they get a hair transplant, a lot of them are recommended to do a lot of red light therapy because I believe for the maintenance, I think it's good. So I believe it's just as effective as finasteride as a preventative. And that's about all I know from that. Moving on to hair transplants. So hair transplants, like I said, you're going for something where a hair transplant, it's a surgery. So it's a surgery. There's certain risks that come with that. You want to make sure you don't cheap out. You want to make sure you go to a good hair clinic. And even in Turkey, you want to make sure that don't go for the cheapest, because I'm harping on this point because a lot of people would try to do that. Do not do the cheapest. Go for the one who has the best results overall, because with the hair transplant, there are certain risks that are going to be there. You're going to need multiple hair transplants regardless of what anybody tells you. I'm telling you from first-hand experience, most people need at least 2 hair transplants, and just be ready for scarring. There's going to be scarring in the back, something that a lot of doctors just walk along. They don't really tell you how bad the scarring is actually going to look. So there's going to be some major scarring in the back. If your hair plan is to be long, then it shouldn't matter too much. But if you have like more short hair, stuff like that, it's going to be noticeable. So you're going to be locked into having longer hair overall. There's a high possibility that it might not work, but if it does, that's great. Now you have the blessing of having to take care of it for the rest of your life. So as you can tell, I really don't like hair transplants at all, because it's one of those things where until I see a hair transplant that is non-invasive, it's done in a pretty cost-effective way, and it's guaranteed, I don't think I'm ever gonna mess with hair transplants at all. They're just too risky. There's just too many complications when it comes to it. And it's just for something where I feel like all you're gonna really do is get hair, and when you get it, at best, you're still gonna need other things to make it look fuller. So at best, after everything, I've seen some people who come to me to do SMP and get a hair tattoo done. And that's after 2 hair transplants and everything's done. And now they're gonna come to me to get that scar camouflage and just get it more filled out. So like I said, it can work, but it's a lot of dedication that comes to that. And if you're somebody who is dedicated to your hair, you have a lot of time on your hands, and either you're like a authority where you really don't have a 9 to 5, I would say it's worth it, because the recovery is gonna be long. I'm telling you, the recovery is gonna be a couple months that you gotta be out of work. And after that, to actually see the results, you're looking at about 12 months. So you really gotta see it through for the long term. And it's something that, like I said, is gonna take a 110% commitment for you to do. This is almost like, I would say, starting a business, pretty much commitment. You really have to go all into it. And this is why you see a lot of people on Instagram. If you notice, a lot of people on Instagram, when they get a hair transplant, they will literally create a whole business off of the hair transplant, because damn near that's what it takes. Your whole life will be consumed by the hair transplant and having to take care of it. And I'm telling you this from first-hand experience. I've had a lot of clients who get it. Some people, they get it and then they're just done with it, so they just get SMP. They don't even care anymore if it falls off or not, because chances are it will. But overall, that's what it is with hair transplants. All right, hair systems, hair units. These are basically like wigs, and people use them all the time. I feel like when it comes to this, is something where I recommend a lot of people to try it out. Even people who come to me and do get SMP, I tell them that the cool thing about getting SMP is that people are used to you now having a hairline and stuff like that. So they're not gonna be like, if they don't see you for a little bit and they see you with long hair with their hair unit, they're not gonna know if it's real or not, because they're gonna be like, whoa, he's always had hair, he just grew it out, kind of deal. You know what I mean? So I think hair units, I think they're fun. I think, to be honest, I would literally, if I didn't have any hair right now, I think I would experiment a lot with hair units, because from one day to the next, you can literally have a whole new look and just see how you feel about it. One day you can have long hair, and all of a sudden now you have a buzz cut. So I think they're fun. I think where it gets a little bit tricky is that with the hair units, that if you use it, if you don't have a good barber, I think that's where it can be a little bit tough. So having a good barber, if you're gonna be using hair units, is definitely a must. And then on top of that, just moderating where you go. So having to be a little bit cautious where you take your girl for the first date. You definitely don't want to be in a motorcycle, or you don't want to go out swimming, stuff like that, because obviously I've had a lot of clients who've told me stories of, for example, I had this one client, he told me, and he's like a passport bro guy, and he was in a bike ride, I think in Colombia, and one of his hair unit literally flew off halfway. And you can imagine that was his first and last date there with that girl. So it was embarrassing. And he came to me, that was his pivotal moment when he was like, you know what, I want to get scalp micropigmentation done, because he was just tired of it. He was just tired of stuff like that happening to him, and he just wanted to live life like a regular person, right? So that's something that I would say just to be careful about. Like I said, they can be fun. You can play with it, not too much risk besides that. I would say situations like that, but aside from that, in terms of actual glue that they put on, I don't know the risks of that. To be 100% honest, I'm sure maybe some people, I've heard some people get some irritation and stuff like that. It's nothing too crazy. Overall, I would say it's pretty good overall to try something out without complications of everything else. And I would say it's actually like hair units. So it's actually a pretty good invention. All right, so now we are at the very end of the video, and I want to talk about SMP, scalp micropigmentation. I know I have been bringing it in here and there throughout the whole video on why certain clients get SMP, what is it, and that. So scalp micropigmentation, as I mentioned, is essentially a hair tattoo, and I love doing scalp micropigmentation. The reason why I love it so much is because I'm able to offer clients a guaranteed result, and they don't have to worry about any of the maintenance once it's done at an affordable price, given that hair transplant will cost you damn near 15 to 20 grand. I charge anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 per procedure. It could be more of a full head, everything on the bottom, stuff like that. But overall, it is very cheap and very easy to do compared to everything else out there, and just very practical. Now, I will say, like I said, I don't want to be biased about this in any way, because I have clients who tell me, so what makes me a bad candidate for SMP? I tell them realistically, it's up to you 100%. Because if you really think about it, everybody knows what a tattoo is, right? Everybody knows. What's the risk of getting a tattoo? It's very simple. Going to the wrong artist and you not wanting a tattoo. It's something personal. It's a personal choice. So if you're somebody who doesn't really care for going for 3D long hair, and you just want the look of a nice buzz cut style, something that looks undetectable, something that looks natural, or you want to do something that's like a barbershop edge up kind of deal. You want to look like you just walked out of the barbershop, and you don't want to worry about all the other maintenance and complications that comes with everything else. If that's you, then SMP would be a great choice. But like I said, it's not real hair, so we cannot expect it to be real hair. So I would say that's the biggest con. If it's a con for some people, right? Then that would be the biggest con, right? But besides that, I feel like it's the best choice. And that's why I do what I do, because it's more for the right person. SMP is more of an investment, because it's guaranteeing that you're going to get a return for what you're putting in. That's literally the definition of an investment, right? And I feel like everything else is more of a liability. So for all of you guys who do business, you guys are going to understand what I'm saying. And that's how I view it. And so this is my take. Like I said, all of this information, don't take it for 100% truth. Go check it out, do your own research, talk to multiple people and professionals. I'm just an SMP artist who has worked on thousands of people, and I've done thousands of sessions. And so if you guys like this video and you guys want to watch more videos like this, go ahead and comment down below. share your thoughts and what I should do next. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon.